Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of the Emerald Exchange. We're super excited to be here today. Glad you guys are tuning in, and today we have our first special guest.
Our very special guest, our first guest ever. We have Breanne Weber with us today, one of the queens of flipping in San Antonio. Do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and introducing yourself?
It's hard to compact down into a little nutshell, but I'll do my best. I'm a mom of 4, been married 22 years now. Is that right? Did I do that right?
It's good if you're losing track. That means it's going well.
I am actually starting to lose track. I got to do the math. 22 years married, 4 kids, and I've been investing since 2018. So whatever the math is on that one, 6 years, somewhere in there.
6 years going on 7.
6 years going on 7. And I have a few different other investors that I partner with now, and just trying to grow the portfolio and
Stay in the game
and hopefully have fun doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the key. And I think for us, we met you through InvestHER, which is a local chapter of a national brand, right?
Right.
And that is, can you explain a little bit about InvestHER?
Yeah. The real estate InvestHER, HER, not her.
Very important key.
It's a women's organization empowering women to live financially free and balanced lives, whatever balance means to them. And that just actually rolled off the tongue that time. It does not always. But that was organized by a couple of really awesome women, Liz and Andressa, and they have expanded all across the nation, and there are chapters in every major city now. And they really do a great job educating women on how to invest, being financially free.
Yeah, for sure. And we've been to a couple meetings ourselves. And I think my favorite part is just it's literally a community of women that are in all different stages, all different chapters of their lives, even with investing. Some are in totally different markets and strategies I've never heard of. But I think it's just so cool that you guys get together once a month on Tuesday nights, and you have guest speakers. There's a lot of different educational benefits of being there. But yeah, today I just really wanted to get to know you a little bit more. We always see you on the fly. I feel like we meet at a lot of properties and we're going through all these torn up properties, but we never get to sit down and really dig deep into Breanne. So how can you, do you mind sharing how you got started investing and why, what led you to the industry?
Yeah. So I was a stay-at-home mom before I started investing, and, just kind of living life and not really paying attention to finances, but always kind of struggling. I balanced the checkbook, so to speak, made sure the bills were paid and everything like that. And they were always paid. But I was like, why aren't we able to save anything? Why aren't we getting ahead? How come I feel like I'm just on this little treadmill and not getting anywhere? And so I started digging into it, and, and I started adding up student loans, credit cards, my husband had started a business that didn't really go so well. We had a little bit of debt from that. I mean, I added it all up, and we're making payments on all these things. Yeah. And I was like, well, no wonder. We've got $175,000 of debt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is not earning us any income, which at the time I didn't know that, but now I'm like, ugh. Yeah. So I was like, this is not acceptable anymore. And much to my husband's dismay, I was like, we are cutting everything out, literally everything. And I went a little hardcore because I wanted to knock it out of the park quickly. And it definitely caused some conflict. But it took us about 2 years. We got it all paid off.
All of your debt?
All but a very small portion. Wow. We got it down to maybe 20,000.
Wow. That's insane. From 170.
And the payment on that last little bit was so minor that it was okay,
just
at least now we can let that handle itself, and we can start actually building. And in the meantime, I switched all of our lifestyle was on my husband's paycheck, and I was a group fitness instructor. So I made a little bit, and it took me, I think, those whole 2 years to save up $15,000.
Yeah.
And so I used that money to do my first investment, and I spent that whole time educating myself. I was at this point where my youngest was going to be going to kindergarten full time, and I'm like, I don't need to be at home. I would like to flex my ingenuity and my creativity.
And you were in San Antonio at this time.
We were,
too, right?
we
Okay.
were. Yeah, we had actually just moved. When we just moved in 2016, and I spent the next couple of years
Building that up.
Wow. So I was like, what do I want to do now that my kids are all in school? And flipping houses sounded like fun, and it sounded like a challenge, and it also sounded like something that I would enjoy doing. So saved up money to do my first flip, and spent a year like educating myself, listening to podcasts, reading books. I built a spreadsheet that I still use to this day. I really need to update it.
Is that
to
the one
analyze
we saw?
all my deals.
That
That's the one.
first time? Okay.
That good old underwriting.
That good old little underwriting tool. So helpful.
Very intricate too.
Yeah, well, it needs to be more. It needs to be more. I'm at a point where I need to graduate it up and take it up another notch. But yeah, so yeah, spent 2 years educating myself and saved up a little bit of money. And when I went out to go find that first investment property, I realized really I didn't quite have enough.
I was going to ask you how far that 15K got you.
You know what? It got me in a partnership, a little joint venture with another investor.
Nice.
And he was already flipping houses. And I was like, I'm going to invest with you, and I want you to kind of teach me what you're doing. And he was also wholesaling, and he was a lender as well. So I gave him my $15,000, which was basically the down payment on the property that he bought. And we started renovating it. And he did not teach me anything. It took forever. What he did do for me that was really great is he got me started and kind of got over the fear of writing. For me at that time, that was a big check.
Everything.
That was a big check.
Yeah.
And very shortly after I had given him all my money, he actually brought to me a property that was a little triplex in Shirts. And I was looking at it, and I was like, I don't know, but this seems like a really good deal. It was only $99,000, and each unit currently was bringing in like around 500 or 550. Maybe it was like 450, but it was way better than the 1% rule.
Yeah.
It was a total dump. Foundation was shot. The roof was shot. There was the local drug dealer living in one of the units.
Of course,
for
there
real.
always is one.
It had a nasty German roach infestation. Like it was in rough shape. But I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think this is a good deal, and I think it really could be a gem. So there was another lady, her name is Denise, who we still partner with together to this day. And I was like, I think this is a good deal. Do you think your dad would give us a loan on it? Because she was also flipping houses, and she actually taught me how to comp out a property, how to estimate the rehab. Like she really took me under her wing and taught me literally everything I know. And she's like, well, let me ask. So she set up with her dad, and they discussed about what it might look like as far as a business plan goes and how he would get compensated and everything. And he gave us the money we needed to for the down payment and a good chunk of the rehab.
Wow.
And so we got a hard money loan for the rest and refinanced. We renovated one unit and got it listed and leased out.
Took it one by one.
We did it one by one, and I think it took us about 3 years to finally finish renovating it.
Oh, wow.
We had some major phases, and we still have one final phase that we really want to do, which is the house is technically in a flood zone.
You still own it today?
We still own it.
Nice. Your
And
first one?
when we replaced the full foundation replacement, and literally we have tenants living in it. I mean, not during the lift, but they were currently living there, and we pulled out all the piers and put in jacks, and they had to jack up around the house like 3 or 4 pumps, move to the next jack, 3 or 4 pumps, next one, 3 or 4 pumps, and you keep going around the property. And they lifted the house a foot into the air above where it was. Like it was already a foot off the ground, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're 2 feet off of the ground so that they could pour new piers for it,
Okay.
and get it high enough that it would officially be out of the flood zone.
Nice.
So now we're just trying to save up again for the next phase, which would be backfill and get a flood study so that we'll officially be out of the flood zone,
of the list.
and we don't have to buy flood insurance anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
How often are you coming across properties in the area in flood zones?
not that often, actually. This one was like in 100-year flood zone.
Yeah.
It's kind of a joke. Like,
Yeah.
come on, this is never gonna flood. But I mean, it's a 100-year flood zone. It could happen. So
Nice. That's really cool. I feel like for a lot of women, when they have kids, there's like a shift that they have that really propels them into the next thing. I know for myself,
Yes.
that's when I started taking my real estate license seriously after I had my daughter. And I was like the same thing. I'm like, okay, this stay-at-home mom life is just, it's not for me. I don't think I can do this. And I just knew there was so much more for us to get to. So that's super cool that you still own your very first one.
yeah.
That is really cool. And so you started out with a rental property, or you did a flip first?
I JV'd with somebody who was doing a flip.
Okay.
And then I got this rental property. And then once the joint venture was done, I got my 15K back plus another 10. So I was at 25, and I was like, all right, let's make this happen.
That's really good.
Yeah. But it's actually really hard to find an actually good deal. Like you go through so many deals before you get one that actually mathematically makes sense. And I was getting really frustrated, and I was like, I don't like, what am I doing wrong? What am I missing? How come, like, I feel like everybody's buying deals except for me. And, and at this point I had gone in on 2 properties at this point. And so I was just like wanting to try and do it myself, but still like getting frustrated. And so there was another guy. I mean, like, this is all just networking, like just talking to everybody, tell them what you're wanting to achieve, and people start pointing you in the right direction. That's your pro tip.
No,
right
seriously.
there. It's just keep talking about it.
Manifest.
You manifest it. So this other guy, he was a wholesaler and also a flipper. And he's like, look, if we split the profit, I'll take 25% and you get the rest, but you're putting up 100% of the loan. You're managing it. I'm going to hook you up with my lender. I'm going to give you, like, this is a property that I found that has good numbers on it. I'm going to help connect you with a bunch of crews that I've worked with that have done good work. And we'll do it for you at a reasonable price. So he really, and that was 100% worth it to give him a percentage of the profit, just to be able to call him up and be like, all right, what's step 1? What's step 2? What's step 3? And then to have all the connections for the contractors and everything like that. So that was very well worth it. And that was my first kind of solo flip.
Pretty much solo.
Pretty much
Yeah.
solo,
Yeah.
kind of solo. My first actual solo flip was a disaster.
Oh no.
I was going to get into telling us like a horror story, but
Yeah.
Well, so this was the first time I was like, all right, real estate's a business. I'm going to start treating it like a business. I was managing the first one that I did under that guy's wing, I did probably a third of the work myself, which
Wow.
is just ridiculous. Like, I should not have been doing that, but that's how I did it. And And so the next one, I was like, I'm going to hire a general contractor
To manage this project.
project for me. And so I hired a guy who was priced fairly, and he didn't pay his subs.
This story.
And it was a little while into the project. I mean, granted, I don't have my general contractor's license at this time.
Yeah.
But I kind of know a little something about houses. And he calls me up one day, and this is when I was like, oh my gosh, this guy has no idea what he's doing. He calls me up one day. He's like, Breanne, we've got a big problem. I was like, okay, what? He's like, you got to come over here. Let's come and take a look at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And we look under the house, and he's like, there's like a pile of bricks under here, and I think that might have been a support. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, see this pile of bricks. There's a pile of bricks under the house. It was literally just a pile of debris.
Yeah, just like
and he was, I don't know what
that
he
it was
thought.
literally like a support beam.
A support of some crumbled. I don't know what he thought. I'm like, it's a pile of bricks. Just move it out of the way.
That's a
We've
part of
already
demo.
replaced the foundation.
Yeah.
See all these concrete piers, and my foundation guy talked to him. He's like, you only have to have them 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And like, and I was like, and this was the moment where I'm like, this guy has never renovated a house, ever.
Oh gosh.
And was this a referral from someone that you had worked with?
No, I think I got him like on Thumbtack or something stupid like that.
Trying to be independent.
I didn't call for references. I didn't ask to see any past projects.
Yeah.
You know, like rookie mistake. And then I found out he wasn't paying his subs. And I was like, okay, you're fired. Like 100%, you are fully fired. Like, please do not come back.
No, literally. Change the lockbox.
Yes, all those things. And so then, and this house had, when I bought it, the previous owner had started the renovation, and it looked like an easy job.
Redoing other people's work, I've learned.
I have learned it's not an
ones.
easy job. This is how I learned it, is on this project. Because no contractors want to pick up partially done work because they don't know how it was done. And
Exactly.
they have to pull another permit.
Yeah.
So she had bought the house and not pulled any permits. And so the city, she had a stop work order. There's a strike team that gets assigned to these properties. And I bought it in this condition. You could not have power or water until every major permit passed inspection.
Yeah.
So, and I knew that going in, but, and honestly, like, shout out to the San Antonio strike team. You guys actually do good work.
Do
and
they?
They do, because you're supposed to pull permits.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And if you didn't and you get caught,
That's on you.
that's on you.
Yeah.
And I fired my contractor, and I call up the city. I'm like, what? Okay, so I've just fired my general contractor. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And they're like, well, and I'm like, I just want to do it myself. They're like, you can pull the permits in your own name. That's totally fine because you're the owner, but you have to sign an affidavit that you will keep it for 1 year. And I was like, at this point, I'm like, fine, whatever. I don't care. I'll turn it into a rental. I'll figure it out.
I have to. Yeah.
I have to. So I was able to pull the permits, not as a general contractor at that time, but I did go ahead and just get my license, so I wasn't going to get stuck in this position again.
Well, that's cool.
And I turned it into a rental, and it's a cute, lovely little home that I think I held on to for 3 or 4 years, and then sold and made a good profit on it eventually.
Eventually. It was just a longer haul on that
took
one.
3 years, but I made a good profit on it.
That's good. Do you have a favorite investment strategy? Like, or do you like to dabble in everything?
Favorite.
I guess tell us what strategies you've done.
True.
Okay. I've done long-term rentals. I've done small multis and single families, and I've done fix and flips. And then I'm starting my first short-term rental. So I'm in the throes of that one right now.
Super cute house.
Yeah. Things I have not done and have no interest in doing is wholesaling. you wholesalers out there, God bless you. I love you. Thank you. Amazing real estate agents who are real estate friendly. I love you so much. Thank you for bringing me properties. That's, again, like, fine, I don't mind underwriting, analyzing, looking at them, coming up with a vision.
Finding them.
And but it's like, especially when you're talking about the high distress situations where you're dealing with the homeowner.
Yeah.
And they're always in a very stressful situation. I am happy to cut them a check and help them get out of it, but I don't want to be calling people up and be like, heard you're in foreclosure. You want me to help you out and buy your house?
I heard your grandma just died.
I heard your grandma just died.
Do you mind if
you want to buy her house?
All cash.
And honestly, the sellers do it because it does help them out too.
Yeah,
so I'm not disparaging it. I just emotionally can't.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Completely.
It's a lot.
There's a lot of woes of it.
I kind of want to circle back because you slightly mentioned it during that period of that rental. You got your GC license. You still have it now?
No.
Oh,
I don't.
Okay.
I got it so that I wouldn't get kind of stranded by a bad contractor again. And I had it for 2 years and I used it. But then as I started doing more, I was like, all right, I really need to find a good general contractor.
Solid teams.
And just because most of the money that I make comes from finding the houses, finding the vision, doing the math, and reselling it. It doesn't actually come from calling up your concrete guy or your electrician.
Tracking the progress.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm happy to make a little less money and take that workload off of me. So I don't anymore. I let it lapse. But I've been doing it long enough where now I have good general contractors.
And so you have solid people that you work with for all of your projects, or do you like work with a couple as far as GCs go?
I've got a couple of GCs that I'm working with right now. And if it's something that is for a long-term rental, I don't mind kind of contracting that myself. It saves me some money. It really just kind of depends on where I am and how much bandwidth I have, and how tight on funds I am. Because sometimes you get to end the project and you're like, all right, I've got $5K left and I've got $8K of work.
Yeah,
let's roll up some sleeves.
That's what
get
we
the
did
paintbrush
for
out
one of
and
Alyssa's
make it happen.
flips. I helped put together a barn door and it broke before they could look it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was trying to be helpful, but it didn't work out.
Didn't work
Sometimes self-labor is not the way to go, guys.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But what else was I wanted to ask you? You said something that reminded me. What were we just talking about?
Contractors?
Yes, contractors.
Finding properties. Working with a great team.
Having a great team. Oh, that's actually, there it goes.
There we
What
go.
I was going to say. So I know that you've mentioned before that you work with a lot of different investors. Like, how do you typically structure your deals?
That's a good question. It depends.
Okay.
As I've gotten more and more into this world, I truly, truly value people's time, skills, talents, and labor. And I will pay you more if you provide those things. Money is not as valuable as people want it to be. Money is critical. It's important. I work with a lot of private money lenders, but I pay them interest. I don't give them equity. I don't give them a portion of the profit or a portion of the property unless they're bringing like a lot of money. So they would need to be bringing in a lot of money so that the leverage is very low, and then we can maybe structure something. And even then, I still want them to do work, but also the SEC requires it.
Yeah.
So
That's cool. Yeah, I've seen that a lot. There's another investor on social media. I always send his page to Alyssa, but he does a lot of that too. And sometimes he'll post stuff like oh, if you have 50K and you want to go in on one of my projects, like just DM me to figure out how. So I've always been super intrigued by how people do that. How did you like learn about that strategy? Do you have a mentor or someone that taught you?
Well, I mean, we did it right off the bat.
Really?
With Denise's dad, my
That's
business
right.
partner's dad. And it was really just like, we kind of sat down and did the math, and we're like, does this business plan that we're trying to execute, does it actually make sense? And so we said the property's worth $99,000. We think if it's all fixed up, it could be worth, 250 or 200. I think at the time we were targeting like 215, 220, something like that. And can we increase the rents? Do we have a reasonable avenue for paying this money back within a certain amount of time? And, how much interest could we pay? How long will that take? And we did it in phases. And Denise's dad, he's super, super awesome. He's absolutely one of my favorite lenders. And he now lends to me on my flips, even without Denise. He likes me too, which is great. Love it. And her parents are just awesome, like good people. But yeah, I mean, he's easy to work with. He understands the business and was flexible enough that he worked with us through the whole time.
Yeah.
Through all the different phases. And we're like, all right, we need 25,000 now.
Yeah.
And we just figured our way through it. And at the very end, we ended up basically refinancing out all of his money. And we had put in a couple thousand each ourselves too.
Right, here and there from.
And so we got all of that out. And now we've been paying ourselves, like a few $100 a month.
Nice.
Right now. So it's not bad. And setting aside for CapEx and staying out of the flood zone and everything else.
So now when it comes to flipping and rentals that you have, you're not always JVing with somebody else, right? Just depending on the deal.
It very much depends on the deal. If right now I'm doing one of two avenues. Either I will hire a general contractor and they'll put their profit in with their fee for managing the project, and I pay them, and as soon as they're done with the construction, they're paid and on their way, and then I don't get mine until I sell. That's
Gotcha.
pretty standard. I have another contractor who I'm working with, and again, I highly value time. He does a really, really great job. He works very fast, and when he does a project that's my project, he is giving it top priority and going the extra mile and making sure that things really are actually staying in on budget. But I'm giving him half. He's doing it at cost, but I'm giving him half the profit on the flip.
Wow.
And so, like, why would you give away half when you could just hire it out and keep more? Because the headache factor.
And it allows you to go spend more time.
And now I
finding
can spend
deals.
more time looking at other properties,
Yeah.
and I can spend time networking with investors, and I'm trying to do 10 to 12 houses this year is my goal. So,
What number
Yeah,
are you
it's a-
at so far?
gosh, it's a rough market right now.
10 to 12 sold? Or 10 to
I would
12?
like to buy 10 to 12. I'm assuming I'll buy my last one in December, so I don't imagine it'll be sold that
Right.
month.
Yeah.
I'm not that good.
Crazy things have happened.
I'm not that magical. So yeah, to buy 10 to 12 flips this year. I have bought. I don't think I've actually bought one yet this year. I bought one. When did I close on Eagle Canyon? That might have been January. That might have been it was at the very end of December, January. You could maybe count one that I've actually bought. But appraisals have been really, really rough right now.
Seriously.
So, yeah, I bought 3 at the very end of last year. So I've got 4 on my books right now. But yeah.
Are they all bigger projects, or are some of them wrapping up soon?
I've got one on the market. One I just rented and I'm refinancing to be a long-term rental, and one I am refinancing to be a short-term rental, and I'm furnishing that and getting my permit for the short-term rental permit. And then one of them is a really big beast project.
In Hollywood Park.
In Hollywood Park.
Stay
Love
tuned,
it
guys.
so
That one's
much.
insane.
It's
That
Is
house
that
is
one
pretty.
your
so
biggest
cool.
project so far?
That one's definitely my biggest renovation. I think we'll probably be spending about $240,000
Oh, wow.
on that house.
Adding a
Wow.
whole second story and
Yes,
what, 1,000 square feet?
We're adding about 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
We literally cut off a section of the roof and then plopped on a second story.
Wow. I'm sure that's been also just a very good learning experience too, to understand how that works.
It has, and honestly, it's actually worked. It has gone pretty well, but I'm always trying to get opinions from experienced real estate agents, because you guys have a much better pulse on what the end buyer is going to want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I know, and I am kind of my target audience, but you know, but also like the price point really matters.
Yeah.
And the level of finish out that is acceptable at one price is not acceptable at another price.
Yeah.
Or you can overdo it on a lower price point and you won't get your money back.
Yeah.
So you really need to know what is important to your end buyer and what isn't. So this one, I was talking to another real estate agent and kind of telling him my plan, and added 1,000 square feet upstairs, which was going to be a secondary family room, an office, and 2 bedrooms. And they're like, well, if you make this office a little bit differently, he's like, you really should have another bathroom up here. And I had 2 huge walk-in closets for the bedroom. And I was like, it's already framed. Where am I going to put another bathroom? And I kind of, thought about it for a little while, and I was like, you know what? He's absolutely right. It's kind of ridiculous. If that office could also be a bedroom in a $800,000 house, we don't want
bathroom.
3 bedrooms and only 1 bathroom shared between, like nobody wants that. And I was like, dang it, he's right. I got to find a place to put another bathroom in here. Which I figured out really quickly, and, got the electricians and the plumber and the HVAC all on board, and it wasn't going to cost me that much more. What I didn't count on is we had to resubmit our permit because of the change. And it wasn't just like oh yeah, that's totally fine. It took like a month.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And
my
at this point we were already framed up, and I was like, and so we just been sitting there twiddling our thumbs, waiting for that permit to clear.
Wow.
So it's finally cleared. Now we're getting our final inspections, and
About to close everything up.
and we had our building inspection yesterday, which did not pass because of a couple of small little things. And so he'll come back and inspect it,
Yeah.
hopefully tomorrow, and we can close it up, put sheetrock up, insulate, all that stuff. But
That'll be good.
yeah, so you every project you're gonna learn something. And I learned that making changes later on in the project can
Cost you.
really cost you in time.
A whole month of holding.
A whole month of holding costs, which are not cheap.
Yeah, especially at that price point.
Yeah.
But talking about buyers, so you've been investing since before COVID. So
Yes.
you have seen a lot.
Oh, yeah.
How have you managed the up and down and all the woes of the market?
Yeah, because you entered in when it was hot,
Perfect.
sort of.
Well, and it's
Pre-COVID.
really funny because I think every time you talk to an investor who's been, consistently investing, everybody's like, oh man, and I do the same thing. So I'm not judging, but I'm like, man, I wish I had started in 2010 when everything was super dirt cheap and you could just scoop up deals left and right. Like, I wish I had done that. And I remember in 2016, like the podcasts I was listening to was like, man, real estate's had a really good run. Are we looking at a bust? Like, our value is going to go down.
Yeah.
And like, that was the persistent message on there. And I was like, okay, like, you know, like, especially for flipping, because sometimes the market can turn on you like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know, like in a month, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Seriously.
What are we going to do with this property now? And so even in 2016, when I started educating myself through 2018, and they were saying the market's going to crash in 2016. And so by the time I got to 2018, I was ready to buy my first deal. Everybody was like, no, for sure. The market's definitely going to crash.
Time.
Now it's time. And here I am. I'm like, and I just had to say, okay, if I'm buying a rental property and values go down, who really cares?
Right.
Because I'm holding it for the long run.
Yeah.
So will it stink if it goes down right after? Sure, it'll stink. But I have to pay the same mortgage either way.
Yeah, exactly.
So the long-term rentals didn't scare me as much. And still to this day, you know, you said, what's your favorite strategy? I kind of like long-term rentals because if you go over budget, you go over time, you kind of really screw up your flip. Just hold on to it longer.
Yeah.
Time heals a lot of
it'll-
wounds in real estate.
Definitely.
So I do like a long-term rental for that because they are very forgiving. But I do love the creative process
Of a flip.
and the design of a flip.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we were talking about design and your flip in Hollywood Park. Our contractor's always telling us how important design is because that can delay your process, you know, changing things at the last minute or not knowing how you want the shower to look.
Yeah.
And picking out tile and things like that. So for you, do you select a lot of similar finish outs for most of your flips? Like you already have an idea. When it comes to design, are you the only one putting in your word on that piece?
I'm doing 100% of the design on all my
Okay.
flips, mostly because I actually really enjoy it. That's the fun stuff for me.
Seriously.
Picking the color palettes, picking the materials. Like I come from a design background, so I really enjoy that. I do sometimes slow it down. I really try not to. And I'm getting smarter and savvier as things go, because now I will actually I have my background in graphic design. So I know Adobe Illustrator pretty well. Okay. And I will take a picture of a room, put it up in Illustrator, and I will make color blocks over like the cabinets and show them, okay, now the cabinets are going to be white or they're going to be black or whatever it is. And I will take a picture of the tile I'm going to use and I'll be like, and I'll either put it vertical or horizontal and like in the shower on this wall, you're going to have vertical ones.
Yeah.
And on this wall, here's your accent tile. And so you have a visual map that not only can I give to my contractor, but he can then give to the person actually installing the
Right.
tile.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to know exactly what the finished product should look like.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm doing that more and more. Again, I'm trying to get off the work site a little bit more. I still go by them all the time. And I'll just walk through and pop in and like the plumber has no idea who I am. And they're like, who's this lady just walking through the house like she owns the place
Construction site.
on the construction site. And yeah, so and I'm like, I'm the owner. And they're like, oh, okay. You're good.
You can be here.
You can be here.
So I know that you said you're trying to do 10 to 12 flips this year. Do you have any like big goals or anything else that you're working towards this year?
Girl, that's enough.
No, that is a big number.
For me, that's a big number. The most I've done before is I think like 3 in a year.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
wow.
So this is like triple that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a short-term rental. So no. The answer is no.
Yeah.
No. And please
Good.
no.
We
10
need to
to 12
find you
is
some
enough.
really good properties because we're behind.
Yes.
We're a couple properties behind.
I'm working on it. I'm, you know, like, and I've been struggling, you know, you asked how many I've picked up so far. I've been struggling because the appraisals on the houses that I do own have come in all kinds of crazy numbers. I actually have the one house that I just turned into a long-term rental. When I bought it with my hard money lender, they said, after you fix it up, we think it'll be worth $230,000.
Okay.
And I was like, that's ridiculous. There's literally, it's almost new construction. It's a 2021 build. It just needed like paint and carpet. And I was like, that's ridiculous, because there's new construction literally like a quarter of a mile away, like a couple of blocks, 1,000 square feet smaller, and they're selling it for $309,000. Granted, I know they're offering killer financing.
Right.
So, you know,
but that's a lot of
mine's
wiggle
1,000
room.
square feet bigger. And so I'm like, I think it should at least be worth 300, maybe 290, but 330, come on.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we'll give you 340. It's like, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. My rehab is so low. I just need to be able to cover the purchase price, or, 90% of it. And so I buy it. We're now refinancing it. This is literally 3 months later. Oh, we think it's worth $290.
Really?
And we're like,
nice.
Which is great. I'm
Yeah.
refinancing it. That's the appraisal that really matters. But I'm like, the house did not go up
that much
$50,000 in value
over
in a
the
few
course
months.
of 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's like the appraisals are all over the place right now.
Yeah, that's what we're experiencing
you
too
don't
as
know
agents.
what you're gonna get.
Yeah, everybody's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So with how long you've been in the business, 7 years, going on 7 years, do you see yourself continuing to flip the next 5-10 years? And do you see yourself investing in outside markets at any point?
I would definitely do an outside market for long-term rentals. I don't know that I have the stomach to flip outside of a market.
Yeah.
I want to keep a pulse on my properties.
Yeah.
I'm making myself sound like a control freak, but I want to get into higher end flips. I've been playing more in the 250 to 350 range historically. The last couple of years, I've been pushing up into that 300 to 450 range. I've got the one in Hollywood Park now that'll be an $800,000 property when I'm done, and I want to get $1 million plus this year. That's what of my flips, I'd really love to get one that would retail for over $1 million. And I would love to do spec homes eventually. I think that would be really, really fun.
I think so too.
Again, it's more the design creative side.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part. So will I keep flipping? Yeah, it's good money. And it's fun. And I complain about like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this one person did this one thing. But also I kind of love secretly complaining about it.
No, seriously. And every day is just so different. It's always
yes.
something. It's always something. But we do a little segment at the end of every episode where we give our hustle and our hurdle. So your hurdle, of course, is like a negative, and then your hustle is like something you're super proud of that you've accomplished in your business recently. I'll give you a second to think on it since you're just finding out. But Alyssa, do you want to start off with yours?
I can start. So starting off with the negative hurdle. Her big hurdle I'm going through is one of my personal flips. We purchased this property last year.
Around this time,
I guess
right?
it's May because our loan is due in May and we had a 12-month loan. And that was the biggest flip I've done. I had have a partner on the deal. And I think I've talked about it in the other podcast. Just the beginning was a really bad experience, terrible contractor, lost money because we had to repay for everything that he did wrong. We entered the market in October, which was, it's
slower.
It's a slower time, or maybe not. But there was so many actives in the neighborhood too at the time. And so now we're in March, 8 sales in the last 60 days in the neighborhood, and ours is still sitting. So we're at a point where it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? Our loan's due in May. Okay, we need to refinance, find a renter, a bunch of stuff. But again,
Super high holding
it's
cost.
a big learning experience. Huge holding costs. Big learning experience that I can share with other clients, and just like going forward, like knowing you make money when you buy, and we bought too high. That's just what
That's
it
the
is.
reality of it. Yep.
That's just what it is. So that's the hurdle, but we're going to figure it out. Hopefully next episode, I'll tell you guys it's sold.
Yeah, it'll be your hustle next month.
And then hustle of the month is, what was it?
Your price point.
Oh, you're right. I set a goal last year, but also this year. Because last year, a big goal for me was to increase my price point, my average sales price. And it sort of increased last year, not too much. But this year I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to focus on that, having really good properties for my investors that make sense and focusing on that higher price point. And so far I'm on track with that for these last 3 months. I've definitely hitting where I want to be at. So I think that's a good thing. And overall with the team as well, we're increasing our price point. So correlating to you wanting to increase your price point, we're gonna be on your side.
I feel like, give yourself a high five on that one. That's awesome. That's good.
Yes. So that's my hustle and hurdle.
So my hurdle, since we're starting off with the negatives, so I have a client and she's a first-time investor first-time investor ever. And she came out the gate super motivated. She wanted to burr a bunch. Really, she wanted to pick up a property every month for the first 12 months. So she's super motivated. And we have 2 properties that she purchased 6 months ago, and we still have them. One just finished up this week, which is 90 days behind. And then the other one is almost close to being done, but it's still like 60 days behind. So it just sucks when people have that as their first experience. And it's just, there's so many elements and so many factors that work against you. And she also really likes historic houses and like older houses. So we're dealing with unexpected sewer issues and plumbing that's super old. And, every little thing is coming up. So it's just been tough. And I just hate that for her. But my hustle, I don't know. I think possibly our team growing has been helpful. So we've kind of have more designated roles on our team, which has been really nice. And I think it's helping us to, like she said, stay on track with our price points and increasing our sales for the year. But yeah, I've just been liking our team dynamic and growing together and having very clear roles for everybody.
That is so critical, having the defined roles.
Yes.
It makes your business run so much better.
Yeah, because I feel like in real estate,
it keeps your brain on track a little bit more.
Yeah, you can feel so just thrown everywhere all the time because there's so many balls in the air. So when you have people that are like, oh, I'm catching these ones and I'm catching these ones, it's like, okay, everything's going to be caught and we'll be good.
I agree. Let's see. My hurdle. Oh, I had one and I totally blanked.
Oh, no.
Hurdle is probably the appraisals. And
that's a good one.
Really is that's why I'm struggling picking up my next property is I will run the comps and the comps are not showing good numbers. And there's another little adjustment that is happening with the house values. And it's not even a really fair one, I don't think, because I think this last winter was uncharacteristically low. Election year, interest rates went up, plus the season of it being the winter.
Exactly.
But those are my comps now. And I have to consider that.
And it's so sparse, everything is so sparse.
And there's so few of them.
Yeah.
So it's, and there's a lot of, Anyway, so comps are the big hurdle because it's preventing me from getting my next one because I can't go with the ARV of a house that sold in June.
Yeah. Because
it was a completely different market, even though I'm going to be buying a house and selling it in June. And the seasonality will be the same, but it was just a very different year. And who knows what's going to happen this year?
Yeah.
Who knows? Anything could happen.
Seriously.
So that's my big hurdle right now is comps and appraisals. My hustle, the thing that's going well for me right now is I have had a lot of new investors working with me this year. And that was one of my other goals is I want to work with 2 new investors this year, which I've already done.
Wow.
Nice.
So, and trying to keep my repeat investors happy and have projects for them deals as well. But yeah, so I have a lot of people who trust me enough to invest with me, and that makes me feel very honored.
Yeah.
that they trust me with that. So
Relationship is everything.
relationships are everything. Yeah. So I just need to find another deal.
Awesome.
We're on it. Our goal of the week every week has been to find Breanne a house, literally all year. But thank you so much for joining us. We had such a blast, and that's all that we have for today.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.